Joining us now with more is senior financial writer Diana Henriques of the New York Times. She's the author of The Wizard of Lies, Bernie Madoff, and the Death of Trust. Great to have you with us this morning.
It's good to be here.
So we're going to hear from more of this on 60 Minutes on Sunday, also more in the New York Times. One thing I found interesting in the Times article that's out this morning, we heard in Ruth's interview with Morley, she said, "I'm glad we woke up." And then in the New York Times, she goes on to tell you, "I'm not so sure I was glad he woke up."
Yes, that startled me. She has a dry sense of humor even in all of this dreadful turmoil, but she said that quite sincerely. And she went on to say that though she does not know that he ever contemplated suicide again, she doesn't know why he didn't. She said, "I don't know how he lives with it." I actually emailed Bernie in prison when his daughter-in-law's memoir came out. And that, of course, focuses on his son's suicide. And I asked him, "Did you ever consider it?" And he wrote me back this week and said, "Well, it crossed my mind." He acknowledged only that it crossed his mind, but he gave an elaborate explanation for how he thought by staying on he could help collect more assets for the victims, and that he couldn't abandon his family. Now, of course, we see that the damage done to his family is irrelevant to whether he was still around or not.
The big question is, do we believe Ruth? Do we think this is just a kind of a ploy for sympathy? Do you believe Bernie when he says that he wants to stay around to try to recover some of the assets? There's always been talk that he knows where some money is hidden.
Yeah, let's distinguish between believing Ruth and believing Bernie. Do I believe Bernie? You've got to take that with a big grain of salt. He has been only confirmative of information the trustee has had, although he keeps saying in emails to me and everybody else that he is trying to help the victims. Ruth is a different matter. I think this is a very good barometer for what kind of emotional state she was in those weeks and months after his arrest. So I do find it credible that she attempted suicide and then regretted it. Suicide has been a dreadful theme in this family's life. We know now that her son Mark attempted suicide at least once before he succeeded. So I think looking back now, she is glad that she didn't succeed, but I think it did show us how much emotional pain she was in at the time.
Chris mentioned, is this sort of a ploy for sympathy in some ways? She says at one point she's speaking out now because Andrew, her son, asked her to help promote the book. So is this instead just about selling books?
No, for her it's about restoring a relationship with her son. Her son wanted her to participate in this publicity. I think he genuinely feels it will help the public get to know her better. Yeah. But certainly she would have preferred to stay in seclusion, no doubt about it.
All right. Diana, thank you very much. Good to talk with you here this morning.